Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Amreen and I'm continuing with the lecture that is related to the subject of pharmacology and therapeutics too. Today I'm going to deliver you a lecture on macrolides. So coming towards today's lecture that includes the delivering objectives and that has basically in which we are going to study about the key points of the previous lecture. We'll today study about the macrolides in detail about its mechanism of action, its like antibacterial factors, uses and its adverse effects. And inshallah in the coming lecture we will move towards the topic of chloramphenicol, which is also an antibiotic. Previously, we have studied about the tuberculosis, in which we have studied what is tuberculosis, how can we manage the tuberculosis, what are first line drugs, what are second line drugs, what are tuberculostatic drugs, what are tuberculocidal drugs. And coming from all these, and especially from their adverse effects, we have moved towards the different regimes of managing the tuberculosis. And out of all those strategies, one of the strategy is that we use isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol for 2 months, and we use isoniazid and rifampicin for next 4 months for the treatment of the patient. And this usually treatment lies like from for 6 to 12 and 10 months, and varies according to the with like patient's individual variations, etc. So what we have studied, we also studied that especially the adverse effects are even more remarkable as compared to the uses. So always consider the adverse effect when you are looking for the drugs that are being used in tuberculosis. Coming towards today's topic, that is basically macrolides. Macrolides is a group of antibiotics with a macrocyclic lactone structure to which one or more deoxy sugars are attached. So it is basically the chemistry of the macrolides, how the chemical structure is. Coming forward, I'll tell you the few names of the macrolides: erythromycin, clarithromycin, azithromycin, azithromycin, and clithromycin. Among all these names, like all these macrolides, erythromycin is the oldest one, while the clarithromycin, azithromycin, clithromycin, they are newly introduced in the market. Coming towards the special features of erythromycin, it is a naturally occurring macrolide that is derived from the Streptomyces erythris. But there are certain problems that are associated with the erythromycin and that we are not going to face with the newest or advanced macrolides. So what are the previous? Actually, it was the oldest one, so it has a falling like drawbacks due to which the other drugs are more preferable. They are also from the same class, but they have some good properties, so they are like preferably more affecting. So what are the possible erythromycin problems that we are facing? Let me tell you, it is acid labile, meaning it is sensitive towards the acid. So you can't use it with the food. It has a narrow spectrum of activity. It has poor gastrointestinal tolerance and has a short elimination or half-life. So it means when it is acid sensitive or sensitive, so it means we are not going to give it along with the food. We should have to take earlier or after the food. Fine. Further, it has a narrow spectrum of activity as compared to other drugs of the same class. Erythromycin is effective against many of the same organism as penicillin G. So we have earlier studied about the penicillin's beta-lactam antibiotics, and those indication in which we can give the penicillin G, we can also give erythromycin. It may be used in patients who are even allergic to penicillin. So usually we have patients show allergic reactions to the penicillin. In such cases, we can use erythromycin preferably. Coming towards the clithromycin and azithromycin, they are the advanced, newest macrolides that are introduced in the market, but they have special properties, like they have a broader spectrum of activity, they have improved pharmacokinetic properties and profile, they have a better bioavailability, and they have a better tissue penetration, and they have prolonged half-life and reduced tolerability. So these are the special features due to which it is going to. So coming towards the mechanism of action of macrolides, macrolides inhibits the protein synthesis. So they are inhibitors of the protein. How they inhibit the protein synthesis mean how they are going to inhibit all the process of protein synthesis and do by irreversibly binding to the 50S ribosomal unit. Previously, we have studied about the aminoglycoside. We said it binds with the 30S ribosomal unit and inhibits the protein synthesis, while this drug by nature affects and binds the 50S ribosomal unit, and in this way it inhibits the protein synthesis. This is a picture to show you how macrolides are going to act. Macrolide acts on this portion of 50S ribosomal unit. while the tetracycline's aminoglycoside effect on the 30S, it affects on the 50S like a chloramphenicol, lincosamide, and other drugs. Let me tell you, still the bacteria show resistance even towards like these macrolides. How they show resistance towards these macrolides? Resistance to erythromycin is becoming a serious clinical problem, and mainly they show resistance towards the oldest one, that is erythromycin. How the inability of the organism to take up the antibiotic, they doesn't like take up or sense the antibiotic and decrease affinity, or even sometimes the bacteria allows the drug to come inside, but it does have show less affinity with the 50S ribosomal unit, so it does not allow it to bind to 50S ribosomal unit. In this way, it does not activate this and does not inhibit the protein synthesis. And the presence of the plasmid associated erythromycin esterase also affects the antibiotic. Now let me tell you about the antibacterial spectrum. They are typically bacteriostatic in action. Bacteriostatic means the drugs, the agents that suppress the growth of the bacteria are said to bacteriostatic, while the drugs that inhibit the growth of bacteria are said to bactericidal. Here, our macrolides are bacteriostatic in nature, while the aminoglycosides were bactericidal in nature. Fine. Now coming towards their electromagnetic or antibacterial spectrum, they are more sensitive or more like sensitive towards gram-positive aerobes and except Enterococcus. They are also sensitive towards gram-negative aerobes, but they have a limited activity against Enterobacteria, towards Escherichia coli, Shigella, but has activity against Staph aureus. Let me tell you about all these gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria in detail. Erythromycin and clarithromycin display narrow, you can say, bacterial spectrum. Like you can see in this order, clarithromycin is the most effective, erythro is comparatively less effective towards gram-positive bacteria, and zithro is further less effective. Staph pneumoniae, Corynebacteria, diphtheria, and methicillin susceptible Staphylococcus aureus, those bacteria that show resistance to penicillin, macrolides are even going to affect them. Except Enterococcus. It is good for all the gram-positive bacteria except Enterococcus. Keep the exceptions in mind. Coming towards the gram-negative aerobes, gram-negative aerobes, in case of neuromacrolides with have enhanced activity, they are going to respond towards the gram-negative aerobes, especially the erythromycin, and less is erythromycin. And erythromycin is least effective towards gram-negative aerobes. H influenza means Haemophilus influenza. Erythromycin doesn't respond to it, while the azithromycin and clarithromycin are going to show the effects against these Haemophilus influenza. Amcastralis, Neisseria species, but they don't have any effectiveness or any activity against any Enterobacteria. Macrolides are also considered to be effective against anaerobes. They show excellent availability or activity against Legionella, Chlamydia, Mycoplasma. While other bacteria show even effectivity towards the Mycobacterium avium complex, Treponema pallidum, Campylobacter, Borrelia, Brucella, and Pasteurella. So these are all anaerobes or different types of aerobes, aerobic, anaerobic, gram-positive, and gram-negative. They're almost showing effectiveness. Among all these macrolides, erythromycin have narrow spectrum of activity, while the clarithromycin and azithromycin, they are even more effective as compared to the other ones. Let me tell you now the pharmacokinetic profile of these macrolides. Mostly how they are going to act, what is the absorption, what is the excretion, how they are going to distribute, how are they going to metabolize. This is all about that. Coming towards the pharmacokinetic property, that is absorption. Erythromycin, we said it is the acid labile, so it shows variable absorption. And food, especially when it is taken with the food, it decreases its absorption. Because the HCl is going to come, it is going to act it, and so its absorption is going to reduce. They said it is destroyed by gastric cases. So how we use them normally, we try to use them into entirely coated forms of erythromycin to protect it from the acid and food. While the clarithromycin, which is the next from erythromycin, that is stable. That's a good property. It is well absorbed, obviously. Regardless of the presence of the food, you may take with the food, after the food. There is no issue with the food because it is the acid stable, so it may tolerate the acidic environment of the human stomach. Coming towards the zithromycin, it is also acid stable. This is another good property of this. Food decreases absorption, but it has a issue that food forms complexes with the zithromycin, due to which its absorption is going to reduce. So, as compared to the as far concerned about their absorption, erythromycin and zithromycin are similar. So, this was all about the absorption of the macrolides. Now let me tell you about the distribution of macrolides, in which we will study how the macrolides are going to be distributed. Erythromycin distribute well to all the body fluids except cerebrospinal fluids. Erythromycin, azithromycin, clarithromycin are widely distributed in the tissues. And the zithromycin among all these have the longest half-life. Coming towards the elimination of macrolides, erythromycin is going to excrete out of the body through the bile excretion, while the clarithromycin also goes from the hepatic metabolism. Half-life is from 2 to 6 hours. Like erythromycin, half-life of 2 hours, clarithromycin is half-life of 6 hours. While azithromycin is excreted very slowly out of the body through bile, like erythromycin, it has a half-life of 2 to 4 days. Mainly it is through the urine as unchanged form, and but as it has a half-life greater than 2 to 4 days. Coming towards the adverse effect of macrolides, they are going to cause commonly the very commonest side effect with them is GI disturbance, in epigastric pain, nausea, vomiting, anorexia. Another very fact that is commonly associated with this macrolides is cholestatic jaundice. This is, you can see, this is another side effects of the macrolide. And third one, very common effect like streptomycin, gentamicin, minor glycoside has also the effect of phototoxicity. Now let me tell you about the drug interactions that are associated with the macrolides. No interactions have been reported with azithromycin, while others like erythromycin, clarithromycin, they inhibit the hepatic metabolism and they inhibit the enzymes, so due to which they are going to cause the results in the toxicity of many other drugs like atravastatin, carbamazepine, cyclosporine, simvastatin, theophylline, sodium valproic acid. We know it is anti-epileptic, warfarin, anticoagulant. So what these erythromycin, clarithromycin, erythromycin are going to do is they are going to inhibit the enzyme synthesis in the liver, as a result of which they are going to inhibit enzymes and the effects of the concentration of other drugs. Let me tell you about the uses of macrolides. Macrolides has a long list of uses, like they are going to be used in atypical pneumonia, and they are going to be used in Legionnaires pneumonia. Macrolides are being used with in the tetanus to eradicate the carrier state. Macrolides are also being used in strepto or streptococcal infections as alternative to penicillin. It is also being preferred in whooping cough. It is a drug of choice. Diphtheria, it's also being used in case of diphtheria. So coming to us, other uses, it is being used in prophylaxis against endocarditis. It is being used in tetanus. It is used in myobacterial infection. So this was about the uses or therapeutic indications in which we can use macrolides. Now we're going to wind up this session in which we have studied about the macrolides, erythromycin, clarithromycin, azithromycin, telithromycin. Erythromycin among all is the oldest one, so it is going to give you some problems, while we are facing less problems with erythromycin, azithromycin, and telithromycin. So inshallah, in the next lecture, we will study about the chloramphenicol and anti-malaria drugs. Till then, we are going to wind up this session. If you have any questions, you may post in the classroom, or you may ask in the next session that we are going to record, or we are going to conduct with you people as an interactive session. So I'm going to wind up. Till then, Allah Hafiz.